was Schubert, and through my involvement in the 1599 EDN course, I've learned a lot about belonging and what it means, especially in the terms of Indigenous belonging. I hope to illustrate this through a painting called Women's Dreaming, which was painted by Selina Numina Camprina, who is an Aboriginal woman from the Northern Territory. The Australian Council for Educational Research states that Aboriginal women have paved a way for Aboriginal issues to be more widely discussed in mainstream education institutions by challenging the status quo of Western-based educational frameworks and research paradigms. Ursula Frederick states that the Indigenous artwork generally represents the sense of stability that comes with belonging, with Indigenous artists recognising that country is at the heart of much Aboriginal arts practices and sense of belonging. I've chosen to speak about belonging because I believe that it is just as important inside the classroom than outside of the classroom. The artwork adheres to the Indigenous pedagogies and frameworks. Despite the amount of potential and effort a child puts in, they will always learn best when the content is relevant to them. This is why it is so important to regularly incorporate Indigenous knowledges into the classroom. Harrison and Selwood expressed that the Torres Strait children that she taught became more motivated whenever Islander culture and history was the focus of the curriculum. And this helped them to become more familiar and comfortable in their school environment. Anna Hayes, the editor of Growing Up Aboriginal in Australia, reveals that Aboriginal people have never felt the inclusion or belonging to have a say and to allow their voices to be heard. The artist Selina has framed her artwork around the sense of belonging that Indigenous women have together. Selina emphasises traditional pastimes that Aboriginal women have shared together through emphasising aspects of women's business, including ceremonial body paint designs and images that are associated with women's rituals or dreaming stories. Her artwork helps to form and shape the belonging of Aboriginal Australians. When interpreting this painting myself, I believe that Selina has used a different variety of shapes and patterns in her artwork to symbolise the different components of Aboriginal women identity and belonging. She has used a similar colour scheme throughout the entire artwork piece to symbolise the unity shared between the Aboriginal women. Every aspect of her painting is slightly unique. As you notice, not one flower, line or pattern is exactly the same. Although she is painting to describe Aboriginal women belonging together, she clearly recognises that every person is different, and to create a sense of belonging, differences need to be both accepted and celebrated. The way Selina has so beautifully captured a visual representation of many parts of Indigenous women's life through an abstract artwork further emphasises the sense of belonging between Indigenous people. Selina has used lots of circles in her work to symbolise people and things coming together. It is so important to include things such as Indigenous artwork into everyday teaching, not only to adhere to the curriculum expectations, but to expose children to Australians' history and educate the children about the cultures of other people. Educational opportunities such as this assist in the acceptance of cultural differences for the future population. Incorporating regular Indigenous content into teaching in the curriculum creates and adheres to indigeneity. However, Robin Heckbird from the University of Southern Queensland states that it can often be seen as difficult to establish an Indigenous artwork perspective when developing the curriculum and courses, as they are regularly hampered by the lack of Indigenous academics working in the field of art history. When aiming to follow by indigeneity in the classroom, it is so important to recognise that the goal is not to replace Western knowledge with Indigenous knowledge, but to incorporate both to create a coherent classroom where both Western and Indigenous knowledges are celebrated. I believe that my chosen artwork relates to the 4R framework by telling a story of belonging and the relationships formed between the Aboriginal women. Respect, relevance, reciprocity and responsibility were all clearly considered in the preparation of this artwork. Respect in particular is shown in this artwork by the acknowledgement and focus of cultural traditions that Selina has emphasised through the shapes in her artwork. Respect is also extremely relevant in a classroom environment to ensure that everyone feels safe, and this is done by respecting everyone's beliefs and basing the curriculum off both Western and Indigenous knowledges and views. Belonging links hand in hand with respect. When someone feels as though they are respected, they instantly feel as though they belong in that circumstance or environment. I hope that today everyone has learnt what belonging truly means and how important it is to feel a sense of belonging in the classroom. When a child feels as though they belong, they are truly able to achieve greater learnings, and themselves they can challenge stereotypes that may have been influenced by other parts of society.